I had to sit through 6 straight Resident Evil movies, and now I have to watch the brand new reboot trying to get into this franchise, and I have to say that it's just impossible. I cannot stand these Resident Evil movies, and I just don't want another one. So Sony, please don't give us another Resident Evil movie, even though they'll probably make a lot of money anyways, and just make another one because they're super popular. So I can't take it any longer. Let's just dive right into the review. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Let's Be Real with Brad. Today on the channel, I want to talk about the brand new upcoming horror film called Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is written and directed by Johannes Roberts, and it is the 7th installment in the Resident Evil franchise, which is the first movie to be a reboot of the original series. I was not excited to see it whatsoever, considering how cheap and bad this movie looks by its poster, the trailer, and any other images I have seen of this movie. So going into this one, I was pretty skeptical, considering that this movie does look quite different from the other Resident Evil movies we have seen, considering that this is actually based off the first 2 games and the other movies just are in their own little world, which, okay, I can understand. When this movie looks so cheap and fake and you just don't have good actors in your movie, this is setting it up for disaster. So when I was able to watch this movie last night at the early screening for it, I had to say that this movie is a whole load of horseshit, and I couldn't wait for this movie to end. The horror in this movie could have been so good, as this movie focuses itself on being more of a horror film instead of the other movies being an action horror franchise. The games are survival horror games, and that's what I liked about this movie. But the horror in this movie is so bad, it's so predictable, it relies on jump scares, and nothing is scary in this movie. I predicted every single jump scare that was about to come, and I just didn't feel threatened or any tension or feel like I was on the edge of my seat throughout. And most of it is because the way this movie shot is so bad. It feels so incompetent at times. I couldn't stand the way that the shots were in this movie. Throughout all the horror scenes, you could see the zombies in the background. You know that they're just going to jump at them, but you know that that zombie's not going to jump. There's actually another zombie that's going to jump at the main character and try to scare the audience. It was so predictable, and it was not subtle in any way possible. This is easily one of the least scary horror films I have ever seen in my entire lifetime. All the acting in this movie is hot garbage. Everyone is so trash that I didn't remember any character's name. No one was memorable. No one had any memorable lines. Everyone was so disposable and hilariously bad in this movie. There were a couple lines that I shouldn't have laughed at, and I was dying in the theater, and I had to keep my cool in respect of, everyone else in the theater that's trying to enjoy the film. The dialogue, the screenplay, all hot garbage in this movie. This movie decides to focus on 90s nostalgia for no reason at all, because this movie is set in the 90s, which it doesn't need to be at all. Like, I think it's only set in the 90s because the first game came out in the 90s, so it's like, ooh, all you people that grew up in the 90s playing this game, look where we are now. We're just gonna mention Blockbuster and all these other 90s references that don't mean shit to this movie. This movie decides to give us timestamps throughout the movie, like 1:15, 2:23 in the morning, and I'm just sitting there like, why the hell do I even need this? It's not like any of these times ever come back into the movie. At least in the original Resident Evil movie, we sort of have an understanding of what Umbrella is and what they're actually trying to do. This movie just gives us a whole text on the screen in the beginning of the movie telling us exactly what's going on, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, that's it? I'm still confused. This movie decides to be a dark comedy at times, or cheeky humor, I guess you could say. It just doesn't work for me. I also found the music in this movie to be so disposable, boring, generic, and just flat out terrible. Surprisingly, I actually have a few positives with this movie. I know I've been bagging on this movie the whole time, But my first positive I have with it is that at least this movie's trying to be like the video games. It has the costumes, it has the characters, it has the setting, and it's trying to follow those two games, even though it doesn't work at all. But at least it's attempting to do that, unlike the other Resident Evil movies that just did whatever the hell they want. Overall, guys, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is an awful horror movie that I would not recommend to anyone, especially the Resident Evil fans, as I think this movie tries to be a video game movie, but unfortunately, it feels so messy, convoluted, with the worst god-awful characters that I didn't give two shits about, and with the horror feeling so PG-13-like, and just feeling so cheap and fake with its makeup and cosmetics. I'm going to be giving Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City a strong 3 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out my review, and I want to know down below in the comment section, what is your ranking of all the Resident Evil movies that you have seen? I would love to hear about it. But before you check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to, and ring that notification bell so I could see you all in the following review.